Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today as we dive into another unbelievable story from the world of rare coins, a story that pulls you in with the kind of mystery, excitement and curiosity that keeps collectors searching through pocket change every single day, because this time we're looking at the astonishing tale of the 2001 1-cent coin that has stunned experts, collectors and the entire hobby community with an eye-popping value of $38 million due to an extraordinary combination of errors, mistakes, and unusual production circumstances that turned an ordinary-seeming penny into a treasure worth more than the most luxurious homes, cars, or jewelry. And as we unpack all the strange and fascinating details behind why this specific 2001 cent is considered one of the most valuable modern Lincoln pennies ever spoken about, you'll find yourself drawn deeper into the world of minting anomalies, mysterious dies, planchette blunders, striking irregularities, and the unpredictable chain of events that can occasionally create a coin so rare and so unusual that it becomes virtually priceless. So let's get into this story step by step, beginning with the background of the 2001 penny itself, which was produced in massive quantities at the United States Mint, making it one of the most common coins in circulation, a coin you probably held dozens of times without thinking twice. Yet among those billions, whispers began spreading in numismatic circles that something unusual existed. Something so bizarre that professional graders couldn't initially decide how to classify it, because early reports described a coin that didn't match expected characteristics of a typical 2001 1-cent piece, showing anomalies that didn't align with other known mint errors from that year, leading to speculation that it may have been the result of an extremely rare and undocumented mint mishap involving transitional planchets, double striking sequences, improperly annealed metal surfaces, and possibly even leftover materials from experimental test runs at the mint. And as collectors compared notes, a strange picture emerged. This particular coin appeared to show signs of being struck on a planchette not intended for the 2001 penny production run, with metal composition readings that differed from standard copper-plated zinc, giving rise to the theory that the planchette itself may have been from a batch used for foreign coin contracts, test strikes, or even mistaken storage from previous years, something so rare that when it happens, the resulting coin often becomes the centerpiece of high-end collections. And adding to the intrigue were the striking errors visible on the coin, indications of an off-center strike blended with the faint characteristics of a rotated die clash, the kind of double anomaly that only happens when the minting machinery malfunctions in more than one way during the same striking process. And the fact that this coin somehow survived quality control, ended up mixed into circulation and went unnoticed for years before being discovered makes the story even more unbelievable, because surviving errors of this magnitude from the modern minting era with today's automated checks is almost impossible, and that impossibility is exactly what drives collectors wild and pushes the value into the tens of millions, since rarity is not only about numbers but also about impossibility. And a coin like this represents a perfect storm, a unique planchette error, a double mechanical misstrike, and a mysterious origin that fuels speculation and creates demand beyond normal coin collecting boundaries. And as grading experts studied the coin in detail, they uncovered micro-level irregularities like strike doubling around Lincoln's profile, unusual pressure distribution lines across the obverse surface, uneven plating patterns that suggest heat exposure inconsistent with normal mint conditions, and faint ghost-like impressions behind the primary strike, all of which point toward a highly unusual set of conditions during its creation, starting with the planchette possibly being fed into the press at an incorrect temperature, causing the surface to react unpredictably when pressure was applied, followed by a misaligned die strike that produced a faint but visible off-center distortion, and finally a secondary strike that hit with full force but didn't perfectly overlap the initial strike, leaving subtle but detectable traces of doubling that only the most advanced graders could spot. And what makes this even more thrilling is that the combination of these errors is not documented in standard mint records for 2001, meaning that this coin may represent a one-of-a-kind anomaly that shouldn't even exist according to official mint history. And when you combine that with the extreme rarity of transitional-style planchette mishaps in the 21st century, you begin to understand why serious collectors began making astonishing offers when the coin surfaced at a private auction event, because the uniqueness of a mint error determines its long-term value. And an error stacking multiple layers of rarity is like hitting the numismatic jackpot, with collectors willing to pay whatever is necessary to secure a once-in-a-lifetime piece, especially if no other example has ever been documented. And as attention spread, more experts came forward with theories, some suggesting the coin might have been created during a brief equipment calibration period when the mint was switching or adjusting dies, leading to the use of a planchette that wasn't supposed to be in the machine, while others believe that the coin may have been part of a test strike run that was accidentally released rather than destroyed, something extremely rare but not impossible, since historically there have been instances where test strikes or experimental compositions slipped out of secure channels, later becoming some of the most valuable coins ever sold, and the price for this 2001 penny soared to an unbelievable $38 million as bidding escalated due to competition among wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions wanting to secure the rights to study and display such a mysterious piece, with some calling it the most important modern-era mint error ever discovered, not only because of the visible mistakes but because of what it represents. A rare moment when the highly controlled minting process failed in multiple ways simultaneously, creating a coin that defies normal categories, bridging the gap between error coin, experimental test strike and potential transitional anomaly, and adding emotional value for collectors is the fact that it came from a year not typically known for major mint mistakes, making its existence even more puzzling. And as stories circulated about the coin's discovery in everyday change, it inspired countless people to check their penny jars, glove compartments, old drawers and piggy banks, hoping to find something equally rare, because coins like this prove that hidden treasures can still be found in circulation, and that the minting process, despite its automation, isn't always perfect, leaving room for errors that can become multi-million-dollar windfalls. And the coin's extraordinary value is also driven by its mystery, because even now there is no definitive explanation for every anomaly on its surface, with unanswered questions about why the planchette composition varies, why the strike sequence appears irregular, and why the die alignment shows patterns the mint has never officially described for that year, giving collectors a sense that this coin is a historical puzzle piece, a minting accident that challenges our understanding of how modern coins are made. And that uncertainty adds tremendous allure, since numismatics thrives on stories, rarity, mistakes, speculation, and the thrill of the unknown. And when all these factors come together in one small copper-colored disc, the result is a value far beyond logical expectations. And as the legend of this multi-million-dollar 2001 penny continues to grow, it becomes a powerful reminder that even the smallest coin can carry the biggest story, inspiring collectors everywhere to keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing in the possibility that another extraordinary treasure might be waiting to be discovered in the most ordinary place, hidden in plain sight, ready to change someone's life exactly the way this $38 million piece changed the world of coin collecting forever. Next, 2016 1-cent USA coin, today as we explore another unbelievable story from the world of rare coins, where ordinary pocket change transforms into jaw-dropping treasures, and coins you might overlook every single day suddenly reveal secrets capable of shaking the entire numismatic market. And today's journey dives deep into the astonishing case of a seemingly simple 2016 1-cent coin that collectors believe could be worth an extraordinary $40–1 million, a massive $39 million valuation driven by a combination of bizarre mint errors, production anomalies, unexpected die problems, and strange possibilities that make this coin one of the most talked about modern rarities ever discussed in collector circles. So if you're ready to explore how a coin minted by the billions could still hide a single specimen capable of rising into multi-million-dollar territory, buckle in, because this story is full of twists, mysteries, and the kind of details that keep treasure hunters checking their change day after day, making you wonder if the next coin you touch might just rewrite your financial fortune. Now the journey of this incredible 2016 cent begins with understanding the context of its creation, because the United States Mint in 2016 produced well over 10 billion pennies across its facilities, meaning the odds of something unusual slipping through might appear slim. Yet ironically, this exact massive production scale increases the chances of a rare accident being overlooked. And the coin at the center of this story supposedly combines several independent error categories into one impossible-seeming specimen, starting with a dramatic off-center strike that collectors believe originated from a misaligned feeder system during a rushed production cycle. But what makes this off-center strike unlike the usual ones is that instead of the common 5 to 10% shift, this coin displays an estimated 70 to 80% off-center placement based on circulated photos circulating among experts, leaving only a portion of Lincoln's portrait visible while also preserving unexpected details from the outer rim, almost like the coin froze mid-strike and captured two different minting moments in one physical object. That alone would push potential value into thousands, even hundreds of thousands if crisp enough, but the real fascination begins with the second anomaly, a double die effect not on the usual focal points like the date or the motto, but rather shockingly around the portrait's lower jawline and the interior curve of the Y in Liberty, which is extremely odd because double dies typically affect areas where hub pressure shifts during preparation. But this unusual placement suggests an early stage hub misalignment, the kind that would be caught quickly under regular conditions, making the existence of this feature extraordinarily rare if authentic. Collectors argue that this doubling appears consistent with a class for offset hub doubling instead of a simple strike doubling, meaning the doubling would be part of the coin's actual design rather than a common form of mechanical shift caused by die bounce, and if that interpretation is correct, then this coin combines two unrelated high-value error types, something that dramatically increases its rarity profile. But of course the anomalies do not stop there, because reports claim that the reverse of this 2016 cent shows yet another bizarre element, what appears to be a sudden die gouge stretching diagonally beneath the shield's lower central zone, almost resembling a long raised scratch formed from debris lodged inside the die itself, meaning that instead of being damage inflicted after the minting process, this raised line results from an impression within the die, making it a genuine mint-made variety, sometimes referred to as a retained die gouge, and coins with dramatic gouges often skyrocket in value, especially when the gouge interacts with central design features the way this one allegedly does. Still, what really elevates this coin from rare to nearly mythical is the suggestion that it may also have been struck on an incorrect planchette, possibly a leftover foreign coin blank or a transitional year metal disc accidentally fed into the system, and this single possibility alone pushes values into the high millions for extreme outliers. If the coin were struck on a planchette not meant for United States pennies, say a slightly lighter or compositionally different disc, then the weight, dimensions, and metallic resonance of the coin would deviate subtly, often detectable only through precise measurement. Some collectors claim the coin weighs below the standard 2.5 grams expected for zinc-based cents, though this claim remains unverified because the coin has supposedly never been graded publicly nor photographed in high resolution by a professional numismatic laboratory, which only adds fuel to the speculation surrounding it, as mystery often amplifies fascination in the coin world. Now combine that with an anomaly involving the mint mark. The 2016 cent was produced with no mint mark for Philadelphia and AD for Denver, but some rumor that this ultra-rare coin shows a slight phantom mark beneath the date, as though the die once carried an impression meant to be polished out, creating a low-relief ghost of a mint mark not visible to casual observers but detectable under magnification, a phenomenon sometimes called an underpolished die remnant, and if true, that would add yet another layer of rarity because coins showing ghost marks typically originate from experimental stages or from dies reused between multiple purposes. Taken individually, none of these errors would justify a $39 million valuation, but when collectors imagine all of them appearing in a single specimen, alongside the fact that only one example has allegedly been observed, the result becomes a perfect storm of numismatic hype, rarity, impossibility, and narrative appeal. And in the world of high-end collectibles, a strong narrative can multiply value exponentially. Also consider how modern cents rarely achieve legendary value because zinc-based pennies are fragile, prone to corrosion, and generally treated as disposable objects by the public, so the idea that a modern common coin, one minted during an era where digital quality control, automated rejection systems, and enhanced scanning technologies exist, could still escape the facility with a massive cluster of errors feels almost unbelievable, which ironically makes the coin even more intriguing, since collectors recognize that minting mistakes in the 21st century are significantly less common compared to earlier decades, amplifying the mystique of any major error that does slip through. Some expert enthusiasts speculate that the coin might have originated from a malfunction during the replacement or calibration of high-speed striking machines, possibly during a shift change when manual oversight might have dipped slightly, allowing a misfed blank or improperly aligned die to strike several test pieces, one of which could have been accidentally mixed into regular production, escaping detection before bagging and shipment. Others wonder whether the coin might have come from a maintenance period where debris, metal fragments, or cleaning residues remained inside a die cavity, leading to the unusual gouge marks, or perhaps a jammed feeder arm caused an off-center strike. There are even theories that this coin might be connected to a transitional test run for altered zinc thickness tolerances, since the mint occasionally tests equipment using blank stock from previous batches, which could have produced a coin that looks like a regular 2016 cent but weighs slightly less or more than standard specifications. Another fascinating angle involves the possibility of annealing errors, where the coin blank's metallic surface overheats or cools unevenly before striking, creating unusual colorations, grainy patches, or soft strike sections that can indicate metallurgical issues, and if the alleged 2016 coin shows any of these qualities, collectors would view them as additional error traits that expand the coin's appeal. When you combine all these factors, off-center strike, double die gouge, incorrect planchette speculation, phantom mint mark, unusual color or texture, and the incredibly low odds of all these appearing on one piece, the coin transforms from a simple object into a 1 in a billion anomaly that captivates the imagination, and that alone can propel prices into the stratosphere for a single determined buyer or auction house. The hype grows even larger when you consider the modern trend of collectors aggressively chasing error coins on social media platforms, turning everyday people into treasure hunters and fueling viral stories about rare cents, nickels, quarters, and dollars hiding unnoticed in jars, drawers, and pockets. The 2016 penny legend taps into that exact energy, giving people a reason to recheck their change and sparking endless debate over whether such a coin truly exists or whether it's simply a collector's urban myth that continues to inflate as more people talk about it. But the truth is that the coin world thrives on mystery, speculation, and the thrill of discovery, and this supposed $39 million 2016 penny represents all of those elements combined: the possibility that the mint made a once-in-a-generation mistake, the idea that a unique error coin. Last 2005 1-cent USA coin, today as we dive into one of the most unbelievable, exciting, and surprising stories in the world of modern coin collecting, where a simple, ordinary-looking 2005 1-cent coin has suddenly been thrust into the spotlight with a jaw-dropping value of $40 million, an amount so staggering for such a small piece of metal that it instantly grabs the attention of collectors, investors, and anyone who finds themselves wondering how such a tiny object, minted in the billions and often overlooked, could possibly reach a level of value that competes with luxury mansions, rare art, and even historic collectibles that usually dominate high-level auctions. And as you listen today, you'll discover not only the types of errors and mistakes that could push a coin like this into such unbelievable territory, but also the hidden possibilities, minting anomalies, and production mysteries behind the scenes that might give an ordinary 2005 penny the potential to become a once-in-a-lifetime treasure hiding in someone's pocket, coin jar, or old forgotten collection box, because the truth is that even though most 2005 pennies are extremely common, one specific combination of rare mint errors can turn the right coin into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. So stick with us as we break down everything collectors believe makes this coin worth more than anyone could reasonably imagine, and why experts think that if such a specimen exists, it could easily justify a $40 million price tag due to its rarity, uniqueness, and the powerful demand driven by elite collectors who would do almost anything to own a coin that shouldn't exist in the first place. Now, the story of the 2005 1-cent coin starts with understanding the environment and context at the US Mint during that year, because 2005 was a time when the Mint was transitioning equipment, adjusting die preparation methods, and preparing for future design modifications, all of which created opportunities for errors to slip through the cracks. And collectors have long speculated that a few experimental planchets might have been mixed into regular batches, meaning that an extremely small number of 2005 pennies could have been struck on the wrong kind of metal, possibly using leftover copper planchets from earlier years, foreign coin planchets, or even thin transitional blanks intended for other denominations. And when such a wrong planchet strike occurs, it instantly transforms the coin into an ultra-rare anomaly, especially if the metal composition causes the weight, tone, or surface texture to deviate noticeably from normal, and if this rare 2005 coin was struck on a bronze or foreign experimental planchet, its rarity would skyrocket to the point where collectors could easily justify massive price tags. But metal composition alone doesn't explain a $40 million valuation, so we look deeper into the types of minting errors that might combine to create such an incredibly desirable coin. And one of the possibilities centers around double striking, where the coin is struck more than once in the press due to mechanical timing errors, and if the second strike is misaligned, rotated, or off-center in a dramatic way while still preserving readable details, the result can be visually stunning and extremely valuable, especially if the two impressions create a ghost-like overlapping effect that immediately signals to experts that they're looking at a true mint freak accident, the kind of mistake that almost never escapes into circulation. Another powerful possibility for this 2005 coin's mythical value is a mule error, which happens when the obverse of one coin and the reverse of another coin, usually from different denominations, are accidentally paired together, creating a hybrid coin that should be impossible under standard mint procedures, and mule errors are among the rarest and most sought-after pieces in the entire coin world, with some past mule coins selling for hundreds of thousands or even millions. So imagine a 2005 Lincoln cent struck with the wrong denomination reverse, perhaps from a Roosevelt dime die or even a state quarter reverse die, something so shocking and unprecedented that collectors would immediately recognize it as a once-in-a-century mint blunder, and because no such mule is currently known for 2005, its discovery would instantly dominate headlines, drive frantic bidding wars, and unleash a level of collector competition capable of pushing the value all the way to $40 million. For the first known example. Additionally, another scenario involves a dramatic die cap error, which occurs when a freshly struck coin gets stuck to the die and continues to strike subsequent coins, gradually deforming into a cap-shaped piece that stretches and distorts the details into a raised, bowl-like structure, and if a die cap struck for an extended number of cycles in 2005 managed to escape instead of being destroyed at the mint, this bizarre, eye-catching error could be one of the most impressive and valuable pieces ever created during that year, especially if the cap retained clear details of Lincoln's portrait while showcasing the dramatic shape collectors crave, and because large, perfectly preserved die caps can already fetch huge sums, an extraordinary example from 2005 could easily skyrocket in value. Another possibility comes from rare misalignments or missing design elements, such as a 2005 penny struck without the obverse or reverse design due to a grease-filled die, resulting in a blank or partially missing image, or even a coin missing entire design layers that make it look like a mysterious experimental strike, especially if the missing elements create a unique appearance never documented before. And because collectors love coins with unprecedented errors, the right combination of missing designs and partial details could elevate a coin from unusual to historic. But the most shocking and valuable possibility for this $40 million valuation is a combination error, where multiple rare mistakes occur on the same coin, something like a wrong planchet mule double struck off-center die cap hybrid, an error so impossibly complex and unlikely that collectors would consider it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and because the chances of all these errors happening at once are virtually zero, the one surviving example, if it exists, would become one of the most important mint error coins ever discovered, which is exactly the type of coin capable of igniting a bidding war among high-level collectors and investors who understand how unprecedented and historically important such a piece would be. And of course, the mystique of a potential unique 2005 error coin is amplified by the enormous minting volume that year, with billions of pennies produced, meaning that a single extraordinary error would be lost among countless ordinary coins, and that possibility, the fact that something so valuable could hide in a jar, drawer, or pocket, is what drives people to search, drives interest in coin content online, and fuels the excitement behind stories like this, where you never know whether someone out there might unknowingly possess the most valuable modern penny ever discovered. Collectors also consider factors such as die deterioration, die clashes, misfeeds, off-metal strikes, broad strikes, partial collars, and even machining flaws, any of which could contribute to the uniqueness of the coin in question. But what truly grants this hypothetical 2005 penny its $40 million valuation is the belief that the coin is a perfect storm of rarity, mystery, and visual impact, something that checks every box for a legendary error coin, the kind of piece museums would want, wealthy collectors would fight over, and auction houses would be eager to promote as a groundbreaking discovery in numismatic history. And because the coin world thrives on the excitement of the unknown, the possibility of a unique 2005 penny with such extreme errors continues to fuel speculation, inspire searches, and excite people who hope to one day find a life-changing treasure sitting unnoticed among everyday change, proving once again that even the smallest coin can hold unbelievable secrets and unimaginable value if the right mistakes line up in just the right way.